all of these inner walls. For this candlestick number 7, I know it's quite close to the wall and therefore you don't want to destroy. It should be good if you limpet charge over here. It didn't this time, sometimes it does, but no worries, I will just destroy it like this. So hopefully you want to be a lot more efficient than I am in destroying these buildings, walls, and lights, because this Easter egg is already annoying, and what you don't want to do is spend so many minutes just trying to destroy this building. But I'm quite stringent on how I like this building to be destroyed, which is why I'm taking more time than what's should be needed to destroy it. For example, I like these doors and stuff to be destroyed as well. Totally up to you, because either you can activate this candle and then proceed to run around, check all the candles. What I like to do is activate this candle, be really lazy, and just see what's lit up from here, which is why I'm destroying the building in this manner. I'll try and frag grenade this furniture away, which did work this time, which is awesome for me. And when I limpet charge this furniture away, we should be good. Awesome. This is, I think, the last candlestick. Beautiful. So that means we are ready to proceed, or that ominous noise means we are ready to proceed with the Candleabra part of this Easter egg. When I walk around this room, I will notice that there are several candlesticks, and they range in a clockwise manner from 1 to 7. This is candlestick number 1. This one is number 2. On this wall is candlestick number 3. Corner is number 4. That corner is number 5. This one's number 6. And that one's number 7. So I will activate candlestick number 1 a few times. I will press it 7 times in total, and this is for each separate ID number. So when I activate this for the first time, I'm finding ID number 1. What I'm basically doing is I'm keeping track of which candles are lit up, and I'm recording their IDs in the solver. I will do an example of this now. Here's ID number 1. So see, I can already see candlestick number 5 is lit up from this room. Unfortunately, I can't see candlestick number 6 in terms of whether it's lit up or not. It's not this time, but all the way from this room, candlestick number 5, I can already see the only one being lit up. That would be number 4 over there. So what I'm going to do is just simply record number 5, the number 5, in ID number 1. So it's just 5, no comma, no spaces, just 5. This is ID number 2, and candlestick number 1's lit up. I can already see candlestick number 7 lit up. I haven't seen candlestick number 6. But so far it is 1, 5. You can see that hint of light over there. Number 4 is not up, and 7. So this is 1, 5, 7. Now, you may be wondering, this is a time step, and I'm approaching this very slowly. This is ID number 3. So ID number 2 was 1, 5, 7, no spaces. This is now ID number 3. So we have 1, we have 3, we have 4. I haven't. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. No spaces. Once again, in ID number 3, 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. ID number 4. Um, um, okay. Uh, I'm not sure how to. The sandbags are spawned. I am so sorry. This has never happened to me. I was supposed to record 4 more IDs. Um. Okay. Well, I guess we're done with that step. All right. Well, upon completing IDs number 1 through 7, and hopefully getting your solution, I guess the solution was just 1. I don't know what just happened there. I am so sorry. But I'm going to start my grid now because we are ready to proceed with the next step. I'm going to start on this black checker from the corner of this side. So this is technically the bottom of my 8x8 grid. And I'm going to go 3 to the left just like that. So start from the right side. So this would be row H, column C. And I'm going to go 3 to the left. And now I just go 8 up. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know I counted that quite quickly. Sorry, I'm still spooked. I was not expecting an ominous noise right there, so I kind of jumped out of my seat. But here is 1 to 8. I like to do it based on visual guide, because it's not going to go further than this corner. So this is how I know it's the end of my 8x8 grid. And then I'm just simply going to do another 8, and I know it's 8 because it's not going to go past this corner. So that's how I know it's 8. And if you want confirmation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. And now I'm going to go down. I'm going to make sure that it lines up with my line. And there you go. So a pro tip I like doing is I like to draw a plus sign through my grid. Like that. And then I also have a plus sign, or completing the plus sign in the middle. So now I have an 8x8 grid, but I also have 4 4x4 squares. And then this helps me to orientate my corners. And you'll notice all the corners are, oh, excuse me, they're not all white. But there you go. An 8x8 grid with 4x4 squares. And that will be the top of my grid. So when I face the front of the fountain square, which is towards the German side, you will know that I am technically facing this way. Awesome. So what I like to do sometimes is destroy this fountain square. You would want an FOV of about 90 for this. And if I use my pistol, I can clearly see sandbags depending on the view. So as I already said before, when I look over here in this direction, this is the top of my grid. This is the portion facing the windows. When I look to the right, this is looking towards this corner or towards the candlestick number 2 direction. So when I look towards the C flag, I am looking towards here. So if this plus sign, this is the C flag direction, like that. Or sorry, that is candlestick number 3, but I was doing the corner of this building. But anyways, it's still, my point still stands. This is facing the C direction. When I look backwards, so this is the back of my grid. This is technically me just facing the building. So when I look at the sandbags, I'm looking at here. This is the back of my grid. And then lastly, when I face here, which is technically facing the D flag, this is facing the out of bounds area over here. Like this. So these are those sandbags. Awesome. So now there's 2 aspects to this. I'm going to record The sandbag Easter or the sandbags, there are always 12 that spawn within a server, and then I will translate that to my light zone grid. So, which is a good thing because I can see a lot of corners, and I can also see an example of every single one. So let me go through those now. So remember, this is the top of my grid. This is facing the window, this corner section here. All right, so this is a green sandbag. I will mark it with an X on the first right corner. This is otherwise known as row D, column E. This is an example of a yellow sandbag. It is about 1 or 2 steps up. So you can see this first step is actually more like a half step. So that's why I say 1 to 2 steps. So either you can consider this half step, or you can consider just only the full steps. But this is a yellow sandbag. It is in the top right corner. Or sorry, it's not in the top right corner, but it is in terms of the found square grid, in the top right or the positive section of a Cartesian coordinate or planes. And it is the corner. This is an orange sandbag. It will spawn in the middle of the staircase or otherwise 3 to 4 steps up. They will always spawn like this. So greens will always be on the dirt corners. Yellows will always be 1 to 2 steps up. Orange will be 3 to 4 steps up. And reds will be 5 to 6 steps up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or counting the half step, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another way I like looking at it is that they will always be the second to last step from the bottom to the top. So that is a red corner sandbag. But this is an orange corner. And then this, as I said, is not a red direct corner, but it is one away from that positive section away from the corner. So let me repeat the coordinates of these sandbags. This green one is row D, column E. And because I've orientated my corners, this makes it a lot easier for me. This yellow sandbag is row C, column F. This orange sandbag is row B, column G. And then this red sandbag position would be row B, column H. And there you go. So I will mark all those 4 now. Beautiful. As we can see, this is another example of a yellow sandbag. Yellows are quite easy because there's only one spot away from the corner that you can that they can be. So I just mark that side position. So it would be row D, column F. Easy. This is another example of a red corner. Oh, are there 2? Oh, that is a red corner. See, they can be quite sneaky because it's quite dark. So be careful. Make sure you check your corners. So as I said once again, that this is the back side of this fountain. And this is the back of this grid. So this is what I'm currently looking at right now. More specifically, it is the left side. So it would be this corner here. So the previous 4 I talked about is in this 4x4 section. I'm now looking at this section right here. Awesome. Obviously, I would go a lot faster with this. And so this is that back section. So this is a corner. This is a direct corner, sorry. And then this is one away to the left of that corner. So this is, this direct corner is row H, column H, and then this one away from the corner, red sandbags, remember these are both red sandbags, would be row H, column G. This is another example of a yellow sandbag. These are awesome to find because they are quite easy to mark and they don't require any judgment. This is obviously not a corner, so I just marked that middle back corner. Awesome. So that would be otherwise known as row F, column E. This is another example of an orange corner. I will mark it. It is row G, column B. I see another red. So see how this red is quite close to the corner? If I stand here, it's probably about 2 to 3 steps away. Whereas if I look at this red sandbag, it requires a lot more steps, but it's also not quite close to the middle. So I will mark it as the middle section. So this is the top left of my grid, or the found square grid. I will mark it as row C, column A. And there you go. And I believe oh, sorry. And then this is another orange corner. A lot of corners today. But this is row B, column B. And I just want to make sure that I have, oh, and I forgot to mark this yellow, sorry. But this yellow is row D, no, sorry. Yes, no, row C, column D, because it is one away from that yellow corner. And there you go. I believe that's all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is 12 sandbags, and I will now translate them into my light zone grid. So looking at this corner here, this is row C, column A. This is row B, column B. This yellow one is one down, one to the right of the corner. Sorry, so this is row C, column D. This is row D, column E. This is row C, column F. This is row B, column G. And this is row B, column H. And I have not marked this one, sorry, but this is a yellow sandbag, and it is row D, column F. Now go into this bottom right portion of my grid. Let's not forget the corner. We have row H, column H. Then we have row H, column G. And then this yellow one, we have row F, column E. And then this corner, lastly, we have row G, column B. And I believe that's all 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Awesome. We are now ready to solve and translate our light zone grid into our just basically, yeah, we're going to translate our sandbags into this light zone grid. So when I approach this, when I approach this, these pillars range from 1 to 8. And then there's also another set from 1 to 16. So when I go to this 8x8 grid, it's 8x8. So there are 8 rows and 8 columns of lights. So what I will do is activate pillars and pairs, which correspond to coordinates on this 8x8 grid. So one row and one column of lights will activate row A, column A. However, whenever I hop into a server, not only are the positions of these sandbags randomized every time I hop into a new server, even if I were to back out of this server and hop into it again, the positions of these sandbags would be randomized. Now, the tricky part is what's also randomized are which of these pillars, so these are just 1 to 8, and if I go to the back, give me 1 second. If I were to go back, this is 9 through 16. So which pillars correspond to rows and columns are also randomized. So every time I hop into a new server, I have to discover the identity of which pillars control rows and which pillars control columns. Let me make this a simplified process for you. placing my ammo crate here, I always start with pillar number 4. I am going to see whether it is a row or a column. So let me do that now. Let me do 4 and 5. So it does not look like I have a hit, but it could always technically be in the sun. Blocking my body with the sun, I do not see any lights. In my log, I will record 4, 5 with an X beside it. This is telling me it's a miss, and misses are very important information. So right now, this tells me 4, 5, or sorry, 4 and 5 are either both rows or both columns. And then once I use 4 to test all the other pillars, I will just simply know that 5 is another number I need to test, meaning I could just make it the opposite. I will explain this a little bit easier a little bit later. But now I'm going to do 4 and 6. I'm not seeing a light. But once again, I will check. Sometimes this happens. You could get 5 misses in a row sometimes. As I said, the identity of these pillars randomize every time you hop into a server, which is why this Easter egg can be so tricky sometimes. So I'm going to record 4, 6 with an X to the next of it, recording this as a miss. I'm now going to do 4, so that's 5, 6. I want to do 4 and 7. And we have our first hit. So this is row B, column D. What I'm going to do is record row 4, 7 in row B, column D. I will also record 4, 7 just on its own in the log. I'm going to shoot this light, showing to myself for the future that I have interacted with this light before. So 4, 7 is a hit. Now, I don't know whether 4 is the row or if 7 is the row or vice versa. I don't know if 4 is the column or 7 is the column. I will have to test it with another number. But I'm going to keep using 4 as my reference number, and I'm going to go 4 and 8. Four and 8 are a miss. I'll record 4, 8 as a miss with an X to the next of it in my log. Now I'm going to test it with the simplified numbers over here. So 4 and 3. 4 and 3 are a hit. Thankfully, they're also quite in the shadows. So I'm going to record 4, 3 in row B, column E. And I'll also do it in my log. Now this tells me quite a few pieces of information here. So 4, because I've kept it in the same and it is horizontal what we are doing, this tells me that 4 is row B. 4 is my row. So I will mark row B as 4. And this also tells me that 7 is column D and 3 is column E. The previous misses that I had, meaning 5, 6, and 8, means that in the future these are all rows, which is why they didn't work, which is why lights were not activated. You can't have 2 rows activated, which is why no lights appeared. So 4 is a row, but also 5, 6, and 8 are rows. I don't know their positions, so I'm not going to mark them. But I know in the future, when I test a column, hopefully I can get one of these columns as a simplified number, but we will see. This just tells me that this is what I'm going to test, so I'm going to see where 5, 6, and 8 are as rows. But let's keep going as 4, so I know 4 is my row, and I'm going to test it with all the other numbers. So I'm going to go 4 and 2 now. So see, 4 and 2 are a miss, so I know 2 is a row now that I will have to test for later. And now let's do 4, and 1, and that will complete this side. A very unfortunate attempt at this, but forward 1 is also a miss, so we have a lot of the first numbers as rows. Let me test it with all of the other numbers. So 4 and 9 now. So go from left to right. So this is 9, and that goes to 16. So this is 4 and 9 now when I'm activating. So 4 and 9 is a hit. So I'll mark 4 and 9 in my log. And 4 and 9 thankfully correspond to one of our sandbag positions. So when I proceed to turn all these lights off, I'm actually going to keep this one on because it's already one of my sandbag positions. It is row B, column G. I will mark that with a check, but that's for column 9. So row B is 4, column G I know is 9 now. All right. Let's test it with the other numbers. I can also go the opposite direction because it's basically Cartesian coordinates. They don't matter. Or, no, that they do matter, but these don't in this grid. This is a grid, not Cartesian. But, so this is 4 and 10. 4 and 10 are a miss. Which tells me, I believe, now all the numbers must hit, but provided that I have done this right. So that's 9, and 10 was a miss, so now I'm going to do 4 and 11. And these should start hitting. Yes, 4 and 11. So 11 is column H, and that's also one of my lights, so I'm going to mark it with a check in my sandbag position and record 4, 11 in my log. So once again, our information is row B is 4, column D is 7, column E is 3, column G is 9, and column H is 11. Let's continue with discovering the rest of the identities for all of my columns, because I know row 4 is my row, so I need to do 4 and 12 now. 12 will always be to the left of this flag, so this is 12, this is 13, and this may help you split it easier on, but this is 12. This is 12, and, 12. I almost marked it as a miss. 12 is column C. I will mark for 12 in my log, and I know that 12 is column C. Awesome. Let's do 4 again, and let's do 13, which is to the right of the flagpole, but because I'm viewing it from this way, it's to my left, not my right. So look at that. From the flagpole, this is 13 to my right of the flagpole. That's 4 and 13. 4 and 13 is a hit. I know column B is 13. And because it is one of my lights, I'm going to check mark that corner. Mark 413 in my log for you guys. But I know row B is now 13. Column B is 13. Row B is 4. Column B is 13. Awesome. Let's test 4 with the other numbers. I have 2 more to discover. So now I'm going to do 4 and 14, which is, so that's 13 to the right of the flag. And you can also see the flag shadow, but now this is 14. And that is a hit. And that is column F. So 14 is column F. Now, I will only test one more number because I know I only have one number left to discover. Technically, I need to discover what 15 and 16 are, but I know if 15 misses, then this has to be column 16. Column A has to be 16. So I will just test one more number with it. So this is 4, and I will do 15. So I know the corners, so 1's the corner over there, 16's my corner here, this is 15. And let's see this now. 15 is a miss, so I will record 4, 15 as a miss in my log. And I know this column A is 16. I have now discovered all the identities of my columns. Once again, column A is 16, column B is 13, column C is 12, column D is 7, column E is 3, column F is 14, column G is 9, and column H is 11. So hopefully you are following along with a separate sheet of paper so you know what I'm doing in this Easter egg. Awesome. Now, I'm not going to turn off these yet. I'm now going to use a column to test. More specifically, I'm going to use column 3 because it's an easier number, and I know that a lot of 5, 6, 8, 2, and 1 are rows, so that makes my job a lot easier in terms of testing the other numbers. So when I record my misses, I'm just simply going to test all the misses in terms of the columns because I know they're already there. Awesome. So for example, I'm going to do, so I know column 3 for sure, it's this one, so I'm now going to have a vertical column of lights activated, and this is going to look like a weird plus sign. But so I'm going to try and activate all these to discover all the identities of my rows for this server. So I'm going to use 3 because even though it's kind of blocked in the light, I would prefer to use this one. This one is 16, and that would mean I would have to run from between here and to the other sides of the building all the time, and I'm really lazy when I'm doing this Easter egg. I've already spent way too much time because I'm trying to provide a simple walkthrough, but I would be doing this a lot quicker. And the way I would do it a lot quicker is testing column 3 because it's the only single digit number and I have single digit misses in terms of what I've already tested. So I'm going to do, so this is number 2 right here. I just got to be careful. That's number 4. So this is number 3. I'm going to test 3 and 1. Awesome. So what has this done? Awesome. So as this once again confirms that 3 is my column, but this is row F is 1. Unknown to me at the time, the game actually still considered 15 or pillar 15 as activated. So this is really row 15, column 3, where I treated it as row 1, column 3. This is why it's very important to be methodical when you're discovering the identities of the rows and the columns for the first time. As you will see later on, this means I have to rearrange and basically rediscover the identities, which is a very frustrating process and can completely ruin the Easter egg for some players. One trick I recommend is that you press a similar row. So for example, I discovered all the columns, so 15 must be a row. Since this is point 15 and 3, this means I can activate 4 a few times because the combination of 15 and 4 will not work. So when I discover all the identities of my columns, I will then proceed to press 4, because 4 and 15 are rows, a few times, so that the pillar pair of 15 and 4 will not work, but when I press 4 a few times, it will reset what the game has selected for me. This avoids misidentifying your rows or columns in the future, or when you do this walkthrough. One of my sandbag positions, so I'm going to mark it, and because I've made my plus sign, I easily can identify its position. I'm going to mark row F, column E with a check mark. I'm going to mark, so columns known. I have marked my row F, column E with a sandbag light position with a check mark. I know column E is 3, and I already know column 3, or I already know 3 is the column, so the other one must be 1. So 3 and 1 is a hit, obviously, because I've already tested 1, and it didn't work with 4, and 4 is a row, so that meant 1 also has to be a row. I just didn't know its location. I have now confirmed its location that this server has randomized, and I will proceed to test 3 with all the other rows, but I've already recorded those as misses, so I know which rows to test. So row F is 1, and my sandbag position is activated. Awesome. So now I'm going to do 3 and 2. So this is 3 and 2. So 3 and 2 have activated row H. So 2 is row H. Awesome. So what else do I have? I have 5. Okay, so 3 and 5. Oops. So technically, I could have just done 5 and 3 here. So 5 and then 3 here. That would have made my job easier, but it's however you want to approach it. And you'll see that another light will activate. So row G is 5. So 5, or I'll do 3 and 5 in the log to keep it simple. Awesome. So row G is 5. Now to test number 6, I'll just go 6 here. And I'll go 3 here. So that's 4. This is 3. Oh, sorry. It activated this top one. So my row A is 6. So 3 and 6. Actually, why don't I just mark in the log when I'm... no, that's a foolish endeavor. Okay, so 3, 6 in my log. Row A is 6. Awesome. Now I have to do number 8. Awesome. So that's 4. This is 3. Now I'm going to run all the way to the other side. So that was 3, 8. 3, 8 has activated this corner. And I will check it like that. So this is one of them. So row E is 8. 3, 8. There are 2 more numbers to test, and they are 10 and 15, which I've already marked as misses in my log. So 4 and 10 were a miss, so I'm going to do 3 and 10. 3 and 10. So I'm expecting these 2 rows right here, because these are the last 2 missing. And there we go. We have 3 and 10. Now, because that, so that was 10, and that is closest to the middle. Row D is 10, and therefore row C is 15, as it's my last number. Rows known. Okay, so now at this point, I know all of my rows and columns. You'll be wondering why I didn't do this last one, and that's because there was only one last number left. I've already recorded 4 and 15 as a miss, so I knew that this was the last one, so that's why there will be a gap here. Okay, so let me confirm all my rows and columns, which will be a lengthy process, but I hope you are following. Row A is 6, row B is 4, row C is 15, row D is 10, row E is 8, row F is 1, row G is 5, row H is 2. Column A is 16, column B is 13, column C is 12, column D is 7, column E is 3, column F is 14, column G is 9, and column H is 11. And there we go. I now know all the identities of my lights. What I will proceed to do is now turn off all of the irrelevant lights activated. So for my rows, I have My sandbag positions are 4 and 13. I will leave this one on. 4 and 9, I will leave this one on. And 4 and 11. Because I've already marked them with checks, I know which lights now to deactivate. So I have to deactivate 12, 7, 3, and 14, which is these 4 lights here. So I'll do 4 and 12 now, and I will be really quick with this because I know the identities of all the rows and columns. Excuse me. So that will make my job a lot easier. So 12 is to the left of this flagpole, and I will do 14 and 4 now. That's 16, 15, 14. Sorry, I did go into a little bit of autopilot mode right there. So 14 and 4. So see, I'm starting to turn off all my lights now. So now I'm going to do 4 and 7 and 4 and 3. Hold up. So 4 and 3. 4 and 7. 5, 6, 7. 4 and 7. And that will have turned off all of the irrelevant lights, aka inappropriate lights. The ones that do not correspond to my sandbag positions have now been turned off. And there we go. You can see how these 4 have been turned off. I will now turn off all of the irrelevant column lights. So I've activated 10 and 3, which is this one. So this one I am keeping on, and 1 and 3, which is this third one from the top. So these 2 black checker marks, I'm going to keep on turning everything else off. So that is 3 and 6. So 3 and 6. 3 and 8. 3 and 5. So 3, 6, 3, 8, 3, 5, 3, 2. Okay. 3, 6, 3, 8, 3, 5. All right. So 3, 2, 3, 5, 6, 3, 3, and 8. Let me make sure my math was correct on that one. So I have the corner left to do. So I still have 15, 3, and I did not activate 3 and 2. Okay. Let me do that now. I thought I did. 3 and 2, and it should be 3 and 15 now. Hmm. 3 and 2 is not deactivating. So we have a problem. Let me try 4 and 2. So row 2. Am I just not activating the... Alright, 3 and 2. 3 and 2. So it's saying row C is 2. Okay. I wonder where I made the mistake in that. So, okay, so I'll mark 2 on this side. I'll mark row H as a soft 15. All right, let me turn, so 3 from the top. Let me turn 3 and 2 off now. 3 and 2, let me see if that turns off. And that was turned off. Okay, so this is, so I somehow got the rows confused. Row C is 2, and row H, if I have done this correctly, will be 15. I'm curious as how it got that confused, but that is okay. And that should be 15 turning off in the corner. So why I did 2 and 4 was just to make sure that, and that turned on. What is happening? Okay. So 15? And 3, and that will turn off. Let me reset a light here. Alright. So that should have reset everything. Okay. So 1 and 3 now need to be turned on. Okay. Let's turn that on. That's now activated. The dreaded 15. All right. Okay. So 1 and 3. I don't understand what I got so confused about this. 1 and 3. Let's try this now. So that's might be the 15 zone. So that's how's that 1 at the bottom? Alright, I'm gonna mark a soft 1 here, and I'm gonna try turning on that light again. Alright. 3 and 1. Okay. 1 is for sure column H, or row H. Oh, goodness me. Okay. So 1 is for sure row H, which means I don't know what F is. I don't know why it keeps turning off. So I don't know row F, and I don't know row C. So let's do 3 and 2 now. I don't know what 3 and 2 are doing. I butchered that. I'm sorry. So, okay, so I have B, C, and D rows B, C, and D activated. Okay. So 3 and 2 must be something other than so row C is 2. So row F must be 15. I don't understand how I got this confused so badly. But, so 15 and 3 should activate this light 1 from the bottom. Let's approach this now, I guess. So 15 and 3. So that is 15. Okay, so 1 is so 1 is row H, or row H is 1. Row F is 15, and row C is 2. So I need to turn off 4 and 3. I do not know how I got that one so confused. I apologize, but once again, we have a little bit of troubleshooting here, and that will have turned off 4 and 3. So now these are 5 of the 12 lights I have to activate now. Goodness me. All right. But now let us just do all of the other numbers, and I will mark down my log. So I have to do 2 and 16, 5 and 13. I have to do 2 and 7. I have to do 10 and 14. And I'm not marking these in order, by the way, so I have to do 2 and 14. I have to do 1 and 11. I have to do 1 and 9. And 5 and 13, I've already was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Not in order. Okay, so how am I going to approach this? I want to be lazy, so I will do 1 and 11. Ten, 11. So 1 and 11. Okay, so that's 1. Then I will do 14 and 2. Actually, no, I'll do 14. I'll do 10 and 14. So then I go back to 14 and 2. So that's 9. This is 10. So 10. 13 is to the right of this flagpole. So 14. 10 and 14. Done. 2. And then I'll click 14 again and do 2. 2. Then I'll do 2 and 7. 2, 5, 6, 7. Let me approach it. 2 and 7. 4. Now I can do 5 and 13. So 5. You'll see I'm starting to activate the random lights. So 5 and 13. 10. 13. 2 and 16, 1 and 9. Okay. So I'll do 16 and 2. Oops. 16 and 2. Awesome. And that'll be 7. And then 1 and 9. And then when I activate pillar pair 1 and 9, this should complete my Easter egg if I've done it correctly. And there we go. So that ominous noise and smoke grenade confirms I've done this Easter egg correctly. If you have followed before, this is now all 12 specific positions of my light zone sandbags. I really do apologize. I don't know how I got the other ones confused. Let me stop the stopwatch timer. So that is 56 minutes, which is a horrible run for me, but a lot of it was explaining and part of it was also troubleshooting. But 56, 47.63, just about. It's a very soft one, I don't mind. But this would be considered inefficient, unfortunately. But yeah, as you can see, we have the 12 specific sandbag positions, and I mean, I could go over them again, but hopefully you've been following along. I'll just go over them now. That's all right. So this is row C and column A. So this is 2 and 16. This is row B, column B, 4 and 13. This is row C, column D. This is 2 and 7. This is row D, column E. This is 10 and 3. This is row D, column F. This is 10 and 14. This is row C, column F. This is 2 and 14. This is column B, row B, column G. This is 4 and 9. This is row B, column H. This is 4 and 11. This is row H, column H. This is 1 and 11. This is row H, column G. This is 1 and 9. And I believe that, and this is row G, column B. This is 5 and 13. This is row F, column E. This is 15 and 3. And I believe that's all 12 of them. Once again, the Candleabra step is timed, and it is randomized every time. I got lucky that I didn't have to record all of the solutions. I don't know what happened there. I also don't know what happens during the Candleabra Easter egg, but someone just made an algorithm for it, and I use it. But that's how that's done. So it's randomized, and it's also timed. So you have to complete that in a timely fashion. Clearly, the sandbags you don't have to do within a timed limit, thankfully. Otherwise, that's super harsh. But every time you hop into a server, the positions of the sandbags, the positions of the sandbags are randomized. A way to view them is by standing up in here, equipping your pistol, and you can see there. I can already count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them already. That's already half the sandbags I need to activate. And if you look around, you can also see the corners. This one, I believe there's a corner here. Yeah, so just make sure to visibly view your corners because they're kind of covered by the shadows. I suggest turning up your brightness if that's a problem for you. And basically these pillars, these are 1 through 8, or I call them 1 through 8. You can call them whatever you want. Just be consistent with it. So this is one half of the pillar set, and then going back here is the other half of the pillar set. So this is 9 through 16 that I was using from left to right. Basically, what you are doing is you first want to discover what the server has randomized in terms of either rows or columns. This is why I use 4 and keep 4 and test it with all the other pillars to see which ones are rows and which ones are columns. In this one, row B was 4, so 4 was a row, so therefore I tested it with all the other numbers to figure out which 8 were designated in this server as columns. These will not be the same for you. Then, once I have found all the identities of the columns, I now need to test all my rows. And that was simple for me because I've already recorded my misses and knew that 5, 6, 8, 2, 1, 10, 15 were already my rows and columns. I apparently made the mistake of not testing out all my numbers, and that's what where my troubleshooting began, because I thought this was 15 when it was in fact 1, and I must have just falsely recorded 1 into a position and screwed myself over. So be really, really, really methodical when it comes to recording your rows and columns. But as you saw later on, I got a little bit more relaxed when I confirmed all the identities of my rows and columns and made my job a lot easier for me. Of course, if you pre-discover all your rows and columns of your sandbag positions, then you don't need to test all of them. I just do it so I know which positions to activate. But if you find all your positions before all the combinations that activate your positions before you need to discover that all the identities, then do that for you. The ultimate goal is to activate 12 specific positions, which are corresponding to here. But that's basically what you're doing. So sandbags are randomized. The pillar coordinates are randomized, so you need to discover which 8 are rows and which 8 are columns. I've done that here. And then you turn all of those lights off that don't correspond to your sandbags. And then once you're done, you just you turn all the lights off that don't correspond to your sandbag positions already. So that was row B, column B, row B, column G, and row B, column H. And then for 3, it was row D, column E, and row F, column E. So that was these 2. And then I turned all the other ones off, and then I proceeded to activate only my specific sandbag positions in a very lazy not randomized, but very lazy order in terms of minimizing the distance I have to run between. I would prefer to do all this in around 25 minutes. Unfortunately for me, I did it all in 56 minutes, which really sucks, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope this walkthrough has helped you. Goodbye for now.